Hi, I'm Daniela and this is Jocelyn. Thanks for coming back to our channel.
In this video, we're going to talk more about what to expect with a triplet pregnancy. The main differences we're going to look at in this video are what a high-risk pregnancy means for triplets, what your body goes through during a triplet pregnancy, why you need a level 3 or 4 NICU, and the importance of a specialized healthcare team.
Now that we've officially announced to the world that we're having triplets, I'm so relieved. I couldn't wait to start talking about it.
Our experience has been much different than a singleton pregnancy, which is what you call it when you have just one baby. And honestly, at first, it was a little overwhelming.
For a long time, I didn't think I was going to get pregnant at all. So I really was having trouble envisioning a life with 2 kids, let alone now we're going to be moms of 4, which is a huge transition. We both discussed that we would welcome any baby or babies that wanted to come into our lives because, we fought so hard for this. But also going through all of these changes in a much quicker time span than 9 months, and it brings a lot of anxiety to you. So I hope that this video can help talk you through everything and alleviate any fears or anxieties that you may have.
Something we found extremely helpful and can't recommend enough is the book When You're Expecting Twins, Triplets, or Quads. It's written by 2 different doctors who run multiples clinics in different locations in the US, and it's been extremely helpful. So I'm going to give a huge shout out to my dad who gifted us a copy because I have not put it down since.
Something we've learned is that a triplet pregnancy can have a lot more complexities than a singleton pregnancy. Even now, at nearly 13 weeks, we're learning new things every day.
The main differences we're going to look at in this video are why a triplet pregnancy is considered high risk, what your body goes through during a triplet pregnancy, why you need to look at a different level NICU, and why it's important to have a maternal fetal medicine doctor.
The main factors that lead to a triplet pregnancy being more high risk is number 1, mothers are more at risk for complications. Babies are more at risk for multiple complications. As well, the monitoring for a triplet pregnancy is a little bit different than it would be for singleton.
First, let's talk about some of the complications that might come up for mom that are really important to know.
During pregnancy alone, your body needs to increase the amount of blood you make. During a triplet pregnancy, it's multiplying even more. So my body is working overtime 24/7 to make and filter that blood throughout. This means I need to eat multiple small meals every few hours in order to avoid being nauseous.
With Daniela's body working overtime, this means by 20 weeks of pregnancy, she's at high risk for things like gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, iron deficiency, and cervical insufficiency.
We're not doctors, so we won't give medical advice, but in our research, we were surprised to find out that all of those things Jocelyn just listed are at 25% more risk to happen.
The book we recommended shares some ways to lower those risks, but it seems like a lot of it goes back to being informed and proactive. Even though we've made lots of advances in perinatal medicine, the preventative and proactive approaches are still the most effective in most cases.
I'm not the only one at high risk. The babies are at high risk too. With 3 in there, it's not surprising to learn that 93% of triplet pregnancies will not go to 40 weeks. The average triplet pregnancy goes to only 32 weeks. That's 8 weeks or 2 months earlier than a typical pregnancy.
Even more surprising than that is 70% of preterm births that happen during a multiple pregnancy actually happen spontaneously.
This brings the average birth weight of triplets to about 3 pounds, which is about half of the average birth weight of a full-term pregnancy.
Being born this early puts your babies at an increased risk for things like breathing problems, eating complications, heart problems, vision problems, hearing problems, and even neurologic problems.
This is why there are more monitoring and screenings done during a triplet pregnancy.
This brought me a lot of comfort at first until we learned that some of those screenings are actually less accurate during pregnancy with multiples.
For example, the cell-free DNA test that's regularly conducted during the first trimester has the ability to tell the sex of a singleton baby, but with triplets that is not as accurate. So we definitely have to just wait until we get an ultrasound between 16 and 20 weeks before the sex can be visible.
Basically, anything that doesn't have the ability to test each individual baby's blood or amniotic fluid will be considered less accurate. But with that being said, any test that can test the individual blood or amniotic fluid of each baby does have higher risks because you're usually putting a needle directly into the mom to take the sample
3 separate times.
Every additional needle is an additional set of risks.
These are all things to consider when deciding what type of testing you want to do during your pregnancy, and being aware of these complications can make you feel more prepared for what's coming and help you make an informed decision.
Now that we understand why a triplet pregnancy is considered high risk, we want to take a minute to talk more about what Daniela's body is going to go through during a triplet pregnancy.
The most important thing to know about your body when going through a triplet pregnancy is that by 28 weeks, your uterus has stretched to the size of a full-term 40-week pregnancy of a singleton.
This means basically halfway through your pregnancy, your body's already stretched to a full-term pregnancy in a typical form. As we've mentioned earlier in the video, that's one of the leading causes as to why 93% of triplet pregnancies are preterm. This means that any amount of added stress put on your body after 28 weeks can lead you to go into labor early.
Obviously, this is a really important thing to know so you can work to keep those babies in as long as possible. This also means there's a high chance that you may have to go on bed rest sooner than you anticipated. From what we know, this is the best way to prevent your body from going into labor and should be taken very seriously if it's prescribed by your doctor.
In a singleton pregnancy, bed rest is considered for emergency situations or atypical situations. But with a triplet pregnancy, this is more likely. So getting used to this idea that it will be in your plan at some point is helpful. Another important thing to know is what type of multiple pregnancy you're having. We're having a trichorionic, triamniotic triplet pregnancy, which means that each baby has their own cord, placenta, and amniotic sac. That also means that all the babies are fraternal, but there are cases where 2 babies will share a cord, a sac, a placenta, and this comes with its own complications, so knowing how your body is growing your children will optimize the results of your pregnancy.
Other changes your body will go through as a mom of multiples is increased morning sickness that starts earlier on, more fatigue in the first trimester, higher susceptibility to illness, increased risk for life-threatening complications.
Something I didn't really think about was the amount of vitamins and supplements Daniela would need to take. We actually had to increase a lot of those important, crucial supplements like folate, calcium, magnesium, and zinc.
It actually got to the point where it was so hard to keep track of what vitamins I needed to take and when, so we made a spreadsheet and even got like a little pill counter to divvy up all the pills that I'm taking at certain times of the day. Learning all of this information ahead of time and knowing what signs and symptoms to look for has personally made me feel so much more reassured. Now I can just focus on the fun and exciting aspects of pregnancy while just keeping all of these other factors in the back of my mind in case we need to take action. As we've mentioned in our pregnancy updates, and we will continue to say this, our goal is to have 3 healthy babies. That is why it's really important to consider finding yourself a level 3 at minimum or level 4, which is most preferred, NICU.
For those who don't know, a NICU stands for Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, and most hospitals will have them, but they vary at different levels depending on what they're capable of handling. A level 1 NICU is considered a regular nursery found at most hospitals, and they have the ability to care for babies born 35 weeks or later. A level 2 NICU provides intensive care for sick and premature babies between 32 and 34 weeks that weigh around 3.5 to 5.5 pounds. A level 3 NICU provides more comprehensive care for more seriously ill premature babies born between 32 and 34 weeks. A level 3 NICU provides more comprehensive care for more seriously ill premature babies born between 28 and 32 weeks. And a level 4 NICU provides everything a level 3 does, with the addition of specialty consults, 24-hour monitoring for babies born 28 weeks or earlier.
Why is this so important? If you deliver your babies early at a hospital that's unable to provide care for them, the hospital will transfer your babies to a hospital that can care for them, and you will remain at the hospital you delivered at.
As the authors of the book we've been talking about suggest, the best way to guarantee that you and your babies stay together is by finding a level 3 or 4 NICU that will guarantee their care.
This information is extremely helpful when you're trying to determine who you trust to deliver your babies.
The place you deliver and who helps you deliver are probably the two biggest concerns in this type of pregnancy early on. So establishing the right care team and the right hospital will help increase the chance that you're getting the best care possible.
Speaking of finding the best care team, we were instructed to find a maternal fetal medicine specialist or a perinatologist. So once we decided what hospital and network we were going to go with, we did some research to decide what doctor we wanted to choose.
If you already have an established OBGYN, a great place to start is asking if they have an MFM on staff or what level NICU their hospital is associated with, so that you can get a referral if needed.
We were already working with a midwife nurse practitioner, and in our case we had to switch practitioners so that we can work with the MFN and OBGYN in one network. I will admit that all of this information can make you feel like the happy, normal pregnancy you were dreaming of has been taken away from you. Preparing for 3 babies in less time than you have to prepare for 1 can seem quite overwhelming. It's okay to feel sad or mourn the loss of what pregnancy you could have had, but just remember that this pregnancy is going to bring you 3 bundles of joy, that much more love to share and give, and at the end, all of this will be so much more worth it.
The biggest takeaway we want to offer is explaining these complications and restrictions to family and loved ones so that they're able to best support you through this unique experience. A lot of people who you love have already gone through pregnancy, but remind them that this is a unique experience that's going to look a lot different than a traditional pregnancy.
There will be certain realizations that everyone will need to come to about this pregnancy. For example, we have much less time to plan for things, and we're going to need much more things times 3 than you would need for a traditional pregnancy.
If you found this content helpful, please like and subscribe.
Don't forget to stay up to date by turning on your notifications, because we are so excited to share this pregnancy journey with you all.
See you soon.